Hey, what's up, guys? Welcome back to the right side, and today we're going to talk a little bit about why the left doesn't really care about climate change. Now, before we get into the video, you can show support to the channel by clicking subscribe, ringing the bell, and hitting the like button. With that said, let's get into the video. With how crazy the left gets about climate change, it's always interesting to see which energy sources they're pointing at in terms of where they want to go for the future. Now, obviously, we all know about their fascination with renewable energy. To be fair, I don't have anything against renewable energy. In fact, we have solar panels on our roof right now. However, there is one energy source which they don't give the light of day to. They always stifle in conversation, and they always spread around misinformation and shut it down. And of course, we'll talk about nuclear energy. Now, I've been a supporter of nuclear energy for some time, but over the past few years, nuclear energy has really been gaining steam in bipartisan circles. No pun intended. Ever since 2016, both Republicans and Democrats have seen steady increases in their support for the energy source, with about 2/3 of Republicans favoring it and just about half of Democrats. Compare that to other energy sources, and the difference between the two parties is vastly eliminated. Compared to solar, wind, offshore, hydraulic, and coal, nuclear power is surprisingly bipartisan, having the smallest difference between Democrat and Republican feelings on the issue. In a different poll, 41% of people thought that the federal government should encourage production of nuclear power, with 36 saying neither. So obviously nuclear power is gaining bipartisan steam. So why hasn't anything been done? Are we even using nuclear power? Now, you must be thinking to yourself, if nuclear power has been gaining a lot of bipartisan support, then have we done anything on it? Are we even producing nuclear power? Well, here are the stats. The energy we generate from nuclear power, compared to all the other sources in the country, really hasn't changed in the past couple decades, with historical changes in the use of coal and natural gas, and the prevalence of renewable energy. So, what's going on? Well, the left has done a really great job at stifling nuclear power development through regulation, through the Nuclear Regulatory Commission and other means. How do they do this? Well, they impose regulations aimed at stifling production and development, a concept called regulatory capture, similar to how bigger corporations will lobby the government for harsher business policies that stifle small business and thus restrict competition. You can see a pretty clear correlation between regulatory requirements and operations and maintenance costs with nuclear power. Put it simply, the amount that companies have to pay in regulatory costs simply doesn't make developing and investing in nuclear power and nuclear technology worth it for the long term. As with anything, the more the government tries to butt their head in, the less production it creates. Now, the funny thing with nuclear power is just how efficient the technology really is, especially when it comes to land usage, where nuclear power has one of the smallest land square foot per unit of energy produced of almost all of other energy sources. When compared with solar, hydro, and wind, although wind is much closer, nuclear power proves itself to be superior in efficiency. A very small area of nuclear can produce a massive amount of energy with zero emissions. One of the most common arguments the left uses against nuclear power is what to do with the waste material. Well, despite regulatory burden, nuclear power technology and research has made the waste material more recyclable. In fact, upwards of 90 to 95% of waste material from nuclear power plants can be reused for more energy. Now, these numbers could be even higher had the government and the left not tried to stifle nuclear power development and investment over the decades. Now, I bet you're asking yourself why? Why does the left oppose nuclear power? It's more efficient with land, is increasingly more recyclable, and the safety aspect isn't really an issue anymore. So why do they oppose it? It's for the simple fact that nuclear power would actually decentralize the energy industry. The left has their hands in the pots of all the other energy sources like wind and solar and so on and so forth, allowing them to effectively control the output of the production and thus controlling the industry, making them bend to their will whenever they want. As we all know, being eco-friendly isn't exactly cost-effective, costing small businesses millions and billions of dollars every year, while big corporations rake it in. Now, these corporations, all they have to do is lobby the Democratic Party for more eco-friendly policies that the small businesses can't keep up with and thus have to close down, just as Canada with the carbon tax. Now, I'm sure there are Democrats out there who legitimately care for the climate. And I don't know if there's anyone who doesn't necessarily. It's just that the left's agenda for solving the issue only creates larger government with more control over industry, something that they've always wanted and always will. At the end of the day, the left will use whatever crisis they can at the time to gain control over industry and private property. Now, I'm sure that there are plenty of Democrats out there who legitimately care for the climate. And it's unfortunate that there are many environmental groups out there who do great work. However, it's unfortunate also that anything the left touches, it kills. As the great Hillary Clinton once said, never let a crisis go to waste. Why would the climate crisis be any different? In fact, it isn't. The left will use climate change and the climate crisis to impose stringent controls over industry. Just ask Europe and see how many of their energy supplies are nationalized. That's what the left wants. It's all about power and control. Like I said before, it's a shame that the left has to co-opt the climate crisis or climate change in order to impose their agenda. I'm sure that there are many people out there who legitimately care for the climate. And I'm not sure if there's anyone who actually doesn't. Unfortunately, the left wants to take the issue and run with it, making young people believe that the world will literally end within the next 10 years. The left are masters of hysteria, fomenting panic and unrest so that enough people will feel convinced to give them power so they can seize control. It's abundantly obvious to me that if the left wants to get serious about the climate, then they should really strongly consider nuclear power. Until then, I'm not sure how seriously I can really take them. All we have to do is cut back on the Nuclear Regulatory Commission, let the industry grow, and then we can finally get off the fossil fuels like they've all been talking about. The answer is right here, but none of them are saying it. Even if they were being faith on their part, if they're in good faith the whole time, they could have been giving grants and such to go research these types of things, to push for government research, because they all love doing that anyway. But why are they doing that? Why don't they push for research so they can make safer nuclear plants, so they can make more recyclable nuclear waste? They're not doing that. All the research and innovation had to be done through the regulatory state. They didn't give them any grants for research. They hadn't gotten out of the way for nuclear development. All they've been doing is putting roadblocks ahead of innovation and research that would have made nuclear power safer, cleaner, and more recyclable. It's this type of activity in politics that makes people conspiratorial. If there's an obvious answer right there, but you're hiding your intentions, and your intentions are kind of counterintuitive or counteractive to what your stated goal is, then of course people are going to ask what your real intentions are. This is exactly what I'm doing with this video. The solution for the climate's right here. It would put us on a far better trajectory according to their calculations. It takes up less of a footprint. Nuclear has every feature that the left has been looking for in terms of sustainable energy, the type of energy that we can depend our grid on. Because although they frequently laugh when said, solar only works when the sun shines, and wind only works when the wind blows. Nuclear can work 24/7, 7 days a week, 52 weeks in a year. We could lead the world in nuclear energy and become less dependent on all the evil energy sources that the left rails about. If the left were honest about climate change, they would all support nuclear power, but they don't. So ask yourself, what's the real agenda? If you enjoyed, you can always hit the like button. And if you want to support the channel, be sure to subscribe and ring the bell. Don't forget to leave a comment down below. And with that, I'll see you guys in the next video. See ya.